Hello, and welcome everybody to today's session. And let's get started with today's session. Okay. So, till now, we have been doing a lot of stuff in AR, right? So, let's revise what we have been doing in the last class. We just simply, downloaded a repository from GitHub, which was AR Foundation samples, and we just got started with it. This was the way of getting started without doing much things, right? We created our own app, we learned how to build it, and we deployed it on our smartphones to see what happens, right? And in this class we will be taking things from ground zero, where we'll be creating a new project, where we'll be importing all the packages that are required for Air Foundation to be working, then recreate the same very example and try to build it and run it as well. Okay, so let's get started without much ado, and let me share my screen. Okay, so here we have Unity is already here, and what we will do is first we'll increase my video size. Yep. Okay, so that you can see me better. Now here what we'll say is we'll say a new project. Okay, and it will show us all the templates and whatnot. We'll simply select 3D because we don't want anything else. We'll be adding things on our own, although we have this AR core and things available, but we won't do that. Okay, 3D core, and let's say what do you want to say this? So ARF project. Okay, so ARF stands for AR Foundation. Okay, and location, let's put it on desktop itself if I'm not wrong, right? For the time being, or maybe inside Unity projects. Yep, that makes much more sense. On desktop inside Unity projects, let's put a new project right here, ARF project. Let's click on create project and let Unity have do its magic. Okay, it will soon be creating a new project and it will be opening it in Unity. And then what we'll do is we will learn how to import all the packages, step by step. Why we are doing this is because what if you want to create your AR, your own AR project? You won't have to, download every time AR samples and get all their assets and everything, because you might not need them, right? So for a new project, how to make a new project with AR Foundation capabilities, that is what we'll be learning here. Okay, and if you remember in the starting, I told you that we will be learning about AR Foundation in a DIY way, right? That how can you learn about things, right? So okay, now we have a new project, and now let's go to Google, right? Let's Google it. I'm doing all this in front of you because if you remember in our last video, we said we will be learning Air Foundation in a DIY manner. That is, in these videos, I'll be teaching you how to learn. Okay, and initially, first step was to download the samples project and play around with it. That we've already done. Now, how to move on from that? Okay, that is what we'll be learning now. So we'll be going to Air Foundation GitHub. That will take us to Air Foundation samples project. Here, we saw that which version we have to use. We can choose it from here. We are using 2021.2. So we'll be using 4.2 version of Air Foundation. Okay. And if you go down below, what you will see here is instructions for installing Air Foundation. Okay. So this is telling you about this very project. Okay. Now let's open Air Foundation documentation from this very link. And here it will tell us what are the platforms supported and what are the packages. So this is the area that we're concerned. So here it tells us installing AR Foundation. So these are few of the packages that we need. And how can we install them? It says you can go to menu, window, package manager. Okay. So as of now, just to make sure that we do not have AR Foundation installed as of now, what we can do is we can right click in the hierarchy and see that here is no XR or AR, some menu added here, right? Right. But as soon as we add Air Foundation, all of this will be added. Okay. So what you have to do is simply go to Windows, click on Package Manager, let this window pop up. Okay, and let it load. It's you can see here it's loading, it's refreshing the packages and the features. Let it do so. Once it is done, it will list out all the packages and all the packages which are in the project, because it says right here, right, packages in project. So as of now, we do not have anything related to AR because this is just the base 3D project, right? Let's click on it and let's go to this very option, that is Unity registry. So this will give us all the packages that we have in Unity registry, right? And now what we'll do is we'll see what packages we need. So AR kit, AR core, right? And so let's go here. Let's find out let's write AR. Okay. And now here we have multiple packages. First and the foremost one is this AR foundation. Okay. Which one do we want to install? Okay. So it says 4.2.3. Okay. And here it will also, as soon as we install this, we click on install, this will install AR foundation. Okay. And with this, it will tell us, these are the packages: AR Core XR plugin, AR Face plugin, AR Kit XR plugin, and whatnot, right? So now we would have to install these as well. So let's install this AR Core as well. Okay. And these are all packages. Their number is 4.2.3. Okay. So if you click on this AR1, view documentation, view licenses, this is done. Although we are deploying for AR core, but if you are doing for AR kit as well, it's better you import all these, even if you're doing for AR core, that is for Android mobiles, because AR Foundation has some packages that use these, right? So let's get this installed. One is this AR kit XR plugin. Okay, this has been installed because we installed this. So this has automatically installed this. Anything else that we have? Nope, nothing like that. Another thing that we have to install is XR management plugin. Okay, this is the very plugin that you need to install. Okay, so you can go ahead with the, okay, this is also installed. This is already installed. We have a tick here. We can update it, but as of now, we won't do that. Okay, now let's see what happens. Now, if we right click in the hierarchy, now we see some menu known as XR. And now we can see XR session origin, default point cloud, default plane, default face, right? So now we have these options. Other than that, what we have to do is go to edit project settings, okay, and click on this XR plugin management, okay, and click on Android, and here click on AirCore, okay, because we will be using AirCore for our Android build, okay, and we already have this here. We can see this is required, depth is not required, so we can say optional, right? So yeah, this is good to go now, although we will be taking a look at it when we are building again, right? When we are building. So now let's try to build the very same example, okay? Now, how would you do that? So I would recommend opening up both the projects side by side. This one is a new project and this is a samples project. Okay, it says it's already open. Is that so? I can see it. Yep. Okay. Here we have it. My bad. Okay. So here when we go to scenes, we have this simple AR and we are into this, this very scene, right? So what you have to do is, if you're learning it, you're doing it first time on your own, you can see what are the base things, and you can learn about these things from here itself. So this is a glossary. This is the basic things that you need to know. What is tracking? What are trackables? What is a feature point? What is a session? What is session space? Okay. So trackables basically are planes and stuff. Feature points are the orange dots that we saw, right? So a specific point in the point cloud, and AR device uses the device's camera and image analysis to track specific points in the world and uses these points to build a map of its environment. Okay. Tracking is the device ability to determine its relative position and orientation in the physical world. Okay. So now it's saying these are the samples. Here it says provide a plugin setup, which we have already done, the XR plugin management. And then it says, how to do a basic AR scene hierarchy. So we have to add AR session origin, and this is the AR camera. Okay. So how we can do this? It's right away written here. To create these things automatically, in the hierarchy, right click XR AR session or AR session origin. Okay, and this will be automatically created. Okay, so let's go to our very basic project. First of all, we don't need this camera. Okay, so let's get done with it. Okay, I am deleting this camera and this is gone. Oh no, now it's gone. Yeah. Okay, now right click in the hierarchy as told in the documentation, go to XR and click on AR session. So now we have a session origin. Again, go to XR, click on AR session. So now we have air session as well as air session origin. Okay, so it will automatically have its default scripts. Okay, you don't want to do much with these things. Okay, but now what you will see is on air session origin, there's only one script, air session origin, nothing else. Okay, and inside it there is the camera. This is the main, this is the camera, AR camera, with all the settings done, with all this done. Okay, with the tag as main camera and whatnot. Okay, so this is all done. But now if you see, if you, if you match it with your, with this sample scene on air session origin, we have multiple things, right? And to understand how to add these things, let me give you an overview. Okay, so what do we want to do? As of now, we want to create an air experience which can detect planes, and which can position something. It can be cube, sphere, capsule, anything. It can position it wherever we click. Okay, and we, although we'll be clicking on the screen, but it will be doing the raycasting, and whenever it hits the AR plane, right, that's the position. Wherever that point is, we need to put our, object, 3D air placement object there itself, right? So what are the capabilities that we need? First of all, we need the capability of detecting planes. So let's add component, and this component that we'll be using, that is AR plane manager. Okay, this is available to us for the sole reason that, we have air foundation. Okay, so they have already given us a component with the help of which AR planes will be detected. And here in detection mode, we can say, horizontal planes, vertical planes, everything will be detected. But that's not what we want. We just want the horizontal planes. Let's remove horizontal, vertical, and now we have horizontal. So this is plain prefab. So this is used basically to show, the detected planes. Okay, we'll come to that. Other than that, what we need. Okay, so here, first of all, when in a scene, you do not have, in your assets, you do not have anything, right? So if you right click on the hierarchy, this will give you AR default plane. Okay, AR default point cloud and AR default face. Okay, so what you can do is you can make these prefabs. Okay, first of all, before starting anything, what do you have to do is, we are forgetting the basics. We need to create a good folder structure. Okay, so let's click here on folder, let's click on my, maybe, my project. So this will contain everything that is inputted by us, right? Whatever we create. And here, what are the folders that we need? First and the foremost folder. Okay, this is not a folder, we need a folder. So that was a script, I just deleted that. First and the foremost thing that we need, the folder that we need is scenes folder. You remember that? Control D to copy it, then 01 script folder. Okay, and next again Control D, we will need the 02. Okay, I have some background noise, apologies. Yep, now that's gone. Okay, let me share my screen again. Apologies for that, couldn't help it. Okay, this looks right. Okay, so we were creating folder structure, right? So 02, here we can have maybe whatever, maybe materials, maybe. Then what else can we have? Maybe models if we need, but as of now we don't need models, right? Another thing that we should create is prefabs. Now, what is a prefab? We will be learning about that today itself. Okay. Another thing that we can create is maybe resources, that we can add any resources, whenever we are doing something. Okay. So what is a prefab now? I would like to, make you understand. So instead of making these prefab, let me, make it easier for you to understand. So imagine this cube. Okay. First of all, let's, whenever you see these things, these are gizmos, right? You can reduce their size. Okay. And they should be good to go. Now this looks much better, right? So this is a cube. Okay. Now let's create a material for this cube. For this very naked cube, let's give it some material. Okay. Let's make it some, let's add color to its life. Cube matte. and that's maybe red, bloody red, maybe, maybe. Yeah. So now this cube is red. Okay. Now, if whenever you want to use this cube as it is, that is, okay, let me disable these. Okay. So yeah, this is the cube, nothing else. Okay. Now, whenever you want to use this very cube with this very material, okay, and for example, if you added some rotation to it, okay, for example, this is the very rotation. Now, if you want to use this cube, sometimes, in the runtime in your game, maybe in another project, maybe in another scene, not project, in another scene, what you have to do is again create a cube, put this material, and then, save the rotation exactly like this. Okay. A better way of doing this is, click on it, don't leave the left click and drag it in your project window, and this will turn into blue. This will also turn into blue. This means, when you click on it, when you click here, it will say cube prefab asset. Prefab is a way of saving the properties of, saving a game object with its properties, whatever the properties it has. Okay. So now, even if I delete this cube, okay, now if I want to, make this cube again, okay, material I can add, maybe red color, right? But what about its rotation? What was it? It was a random one. Do you remember the rotation? No, you don't. So what you can do is, if you are using prefab, you can simply drag and drop a prefab, and bam, you have a cube right there with the very same rotation and position, right? So that is the benefit of making prefabs. Okay. So as of now, let's leave this cube prefab here itself. Okay. So now I was saying that we have, we just created these via clicking XR and default stuff, because we need a plane, plane visualizer. Okay, so they have already provided us with a default plane, and what we can do is we can create a prefab out of it. Again, for the point cloud, create a prefab out of it. Again, for the phase, default phase, create a prefab out of it. Okay, now we can delete this. Now, why did we do all this? Because in the AR session manager, where it says AR plane manager, we need a game object, of type plane visualizer, which will be actually, this game object will be used to show the planes. So we'll be using this very default plane, and we can put it right here. Okay. And now this will be used. So if you click on this, you will see it again has multiple things. So it has a component known as AR plane. It has AR plane visualizer, and then it has a material with line render and whatnot. Okay. So basically you didn't need to do anything. We simply, the package Air Foundation gave it to us, and we are using it for the default stuff. Okay. So now we have AR plane manager. Now we have plane manager, right? What if you want the point clouds to be seen as well? So we will add AR point cloud manager. And again, it will say point cloud prefab. You can give this point cloud right here. Okay. So with the help of this, now you should be ready to showcase this AR, AR plane should be detected and point cloud should be seen. Let's see if that is happening. What we can do is we can simply go and build this APK, run this, and let's see what happens. First and the foremost thing that you need to do is add this very scene. So this is a sample scene. This was the first scene that was created. Although we'll click on Control Shift S or Command Shift S, and we'll go to my project, and here we'll save it as scene 00 base ARF, and is a custom base, right? Custom base ARF. Okay, now this is saved, and if I go to my project scenes, there we have it. Okay, so first of all, go here and add open scene, remove this one, right click on it, remove selection. So we have the scene. Okay, again, first of all, we need to change this to the switch platform to Android, because we want to build for Android. And as of now, this is on which platform? Wherever the Unity Simple is, that is Windows, Mac, and Linux. Okay, so let's click on Android and let's click switch the very freaking platform. Let it do its magic, and let this Unity button change from Mac to here. Okay, so now we can do it. Now it is grayed out build and build run, because this says cannot build while the editor is importing assets and compiling. Okay, so it's doing, see, here it comes. So it is doing some things and whatnot. Now we're good to go. Now we can click on build, but before that, we need to understand the about the some of the properties that we need to set. Okay, so what I did here was I clicked on player settings, and here I'm on player settings. These are some player settings. This is a project name and product name. This will be coming as yours, like this will be the name of your APK, and when your application is installed on your Android. Okay, going below, this is the settings which we are concerned about, other settings. Okay, so here what we want to do is multi-threading should be checked, no worries for that. Okay, here we need to set up the minimum API level. This is 5.1, that's not done. We need to set up at least 7, okay, because that's the minimum that AR core supports. And for the target level API, we can say highest install. Okay, that's good to go. Here, this is the target level ARMV7. Okay, no worries. Allow unsafe code. You can, allow it. Maybe Air Foundation uses it at some point or other, and it's okay. 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 Going below. Yeah, those were a few things I guess that you need to take care of. Okay, color space, acquire, research, GP, that's good to go. Welcome. Okay. Yeah. So basically, you need to take care of this very thing, and yeah, allow unsafe code as well. Okay. So that doesn't give us any issues. Now let's go and build our very own custom app. So in your project itself, I would suggest to create a new folder named builds. Okay, so all your builds are saved in the this very project, and now create 00 again so as to make a note of that this was the first app. You can name this APK anything, custom base APK. Yeah. Okay, let's click on save, and this will start the build project. Bam, we have an error. Okay, this will happen with you as well. That is why I'm doing this all in this video. Let's see what is the error that we're having. So it says failed. You have enabled Vulkan graphics API, which is not supported by your code. Okay, so we have to disable Vulkan graphics. Okay, this is a very common error. This happens. So what you can do is, now how would you, if you get this error, what is the thing that you should do? You can copy this error, go to Google, okay, and just Google this error. Okay, AR foundation error. Just do that. Let's see what pops up. Okay, so yes, somebody has already asked about this. Okay, Vulkan. No, we don't see Vulkan anymore. So here was it. Okay. Yep, this is the very same error. This is the best thing about using Unity. It has a great community, and it's most likely that whatever problems that we are facing, they have been already faced by somebody or the other, and they have been asked, and people have given a solution for that. Okay, so it says go to build settings, go to project settings, go to player, go to other settings, go to auto graphics API. Please remove Vulkan and add Open GLES3 or 2 as an option. So here it goes. It says same issue. However, Vulkan is disabled by default and there is no OpenGL option. Ideas. Here it says, never mind, found it and it works. So in rendering, in auto graphics, we have to do this. Okay. So let's go here. So where we have to go was project settings. So edit project settings. Okay. And in player, we have to go to rendering options. And here it says autographic API. Let's remove this autographic API. As soon as we uncheck this, something happens and Unity, crashes. So we won't be sending any report and whatnot. Let's again just open a project. That was ARF project. Okay. But this also happens sometimes, that project crashes and whatnot. So make sure whatever changes you're doing to your scene, make sure that you save those changes. Okay. So no worries, our project is up and running in just in a second. Okay, this is what happens when you have a Mac or a good machine. You are least bothered by these hiccups. Okay, again go to project settings and player, autographics API. Remove this and let's see and click again. Here is Vulkan, right? We have to remove this Vulkan. As soon as we remove this Vulkan, this should do something if it wants to. Otherwise, it's good to go. Remove this. Go to build settings. Click, okay, so you don't have your scene here, right? Click add scenes and make sure you always check that you have your scene here and your scene is saved. Build it, save it, and again we have an error. Wow, that's great. This is amazing because having error means learning something or the other. Okay. So now what's there? Now it says requires a minimum SDK of 24, currently set to 22. Okay. So again, go to settings, player settings. Here we have said, see, again, this was reset. I don't know why, but this was reset. So minimum it requires us 24. So let's set it on 24. Also check our other settings. Okay, we can allow unsafe code. Getting the API, this is set. Okay, most of things are set. Okay, go build once again. Expect an error, and yeah, you don't get an error. So yeah, let it build, and let's see then. This shall give us an APK, which we shall be able to install on our phones, and then we should be good to go. So let it build. Okay, and in the time I can maybe set up my smartphone to work with the PC, right? So as of now, I don't have my cable. That is why I'll be sending my APKs through Drive or something like that. Okay. So just let this APK build. And as soon as this APK builds, I'll be sending it to myself. This was the APK, that was created. Then what I did was I did a build out of it, and here is the recording out of it. Okay. So as soon as you install it, it will be shown like this, ARF, your project name, and install. You can simply click on open it. Okay, and this will open up. And for the first time when you play this any app, AR this will ask about your camera permissions. Okay, so that's where you need to give it preferences to take pictures and record videos, because this will be accessing your camera, right? So you need to give it permission. So allow it. As soon as you do that, your camera will open up, and then first what you will see is, first and the foremost thing what you will see is the dots. Okay, so these dots, these are the ones, the point clouds. Okay, then as suddenly, or really quickly, you would see these planes. Okay, so this is a plane that are being tracked on AR and stuff, right? So this is working pretty well, and currently I've created all this, and this is as working as it should, right? Okay, so this app is working as it should, right? As we are able to see the planes, these markers, these not markers, these are known as air point clouds, right? So this is working as expected, and this is working whatever we have coded till now, right? So a quick tip that I would like to give you here is, instead of making a whole project and then trying to run it, you should go step by step, do one small step and then build your project. With the help of this approach, what will happen is, if you have errors, you will get to know them, you will get to catch them in early stages itself, right? Because when you create the whole project, then you don't know where the errors are coming from, and might be the errors can be multiplied as well, because if you have done something wrong in the first step and you have not corrected that error, then the errors might be coming from multiple ways, right? But if you only coded for small stuff, you're just making a build of a small update that you're doing, then it's easy for you, because okay, that this stuff was working, and now I've added something and it's not working. So that means whatever I have added recently has some issues. Okay. So yeah, this was the stuff. We just created our very own first AR app with plane detection AR functionalities, that too from ground zero. We imported the packages on our own, right? We didn't use anything else. We use the things, the components that are in the package itself. We didn't, take anything from the samples project or something like that, right? So, hooray, cheers to you guys. Now we have created our very first AR basic app, okay? But now our aim was not just to detect planes. Our aim was to be able to click on those planes and place an AR object or anything like that, okay? Let me plug in my charger. Yeah. So now what we will do is, for that, first of all, we would have to create a new script. Why? Because we need to do something on the runtime, and for that we need a script. And as always, we'll create a controller object. We'll reset its position, so it doesn't matter, but still I like to do that. Create a script, Let's name this custom place on plane. Okay. So this is a custom place on plane script. And what we'll do is we'll be trying to achieve the same very, behavior or functionality that we have in our simple AR scene. Okay. So let's open the script up, which will be pretty empty. There won't be anything inside it because we haven't done anything, right? There would be just a boilerplate code, right? Let's go. So as soon as you open it, you'll see something of this sort. Okay. So this is our stuff. So now what we need to do is, first of all, we need to, you know, uh, first of all, we need to do is we want what are the things that we want? Let's think about these things. So the first thing that we want is the AR object that we want to place on the plane. Okay. Then we want to access the plane, and then we wanted to access the AR recasting as well. Okay. So first of all, we'll create a public game object. Okay. Name it AR prefab. So this will be the prefab that we need to place it. We have named it public so that we can reference this or put the reference of this very game object from the editor itself. Okay. Then we would require AR raycasting manager. Okay. And this won't be shown because this is not included as of now. Okay. And it says, okay, so I'm naming it wrong. So AR recast manager. Yeah, that's the name. Show potential fix, and then this should give you using XR foundation AR manager. Okay. So let's not place this here. Let's place this in the header. Okay. So now this should identify this. Okay. And here we need to say using. Right. So now we have AR recast manager. Okay. We have this thingy. Okay. Now what we need to do is in the start, we don't need to do anything on awake. Okay. Void awake. We need, although we can pass the reference of this again, making it public and whatnot, that's not what we want to do. We want to get this on the runtime. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll say, okay, we will say that set AR, this raycasting manager. Let's name this raycasting manager. Yeah. AR raycast manager and set it to be a component of type AR raycast manager itself. Okay, and set it to this. What this means is this will actually get the component. This will get the component from which game object, this very game object on which this script is placed. Okay, so let's see. So this controller is here. Okay, we have placed the script here, but this is on this we don't have a recast manager, right? Because we will be adding the recast manager here. Okay, and now what we can do is we can either add our script here, then we can either add our custom script here. Okay, then this would actually get the AR recast manager automatically because we are saying get component. Okay, but if you want to create, in this way, use a controller and whatnot, then what we would need to do is we would need to pass. Okay, what we can do is we can again create public game object and AR session origin object. Okay, and then we can say once we have this game object, we can say, okay, we have this game object, get the component, this very component from this game object. Okay, and this we can assign in the editor. Okay, so AR core session origin. So we have assigned this, so this will automatically get this recast manager. Okay, that's good to go. Now again, let's open up our script. Now what we want to do is, now if we have this recast manager, we want to do recasting. Okay, from the screen of the phone. This recasting will be hit on a plane. Okay, but when do we want to do this recasting? We want to do this recasting when we touch on a screen. Okay, so let's write some code to achieve that. So here we'll say input dot get touch, input dot touch count, my bad. Okay, when this is greater than 0, okay, when this is not 0, like nobody's touching. So when somebody is touching the screen, then only run this, okay, then only go through this code. Okay, so now what we'll do is we'll create some more variables. First is of touch, let's name it touch. Okay, next is of vector 2. Why? Because we need the touch position. Okay, touch position. So now what we can say here is touch is equal to input dot get touch. And which touch do we need to get? We want to get the first ever touch. Okay, so if there are multiple touches, we are touching from 2 fingers, just get the first touch. Okay, then set the touch position to the position of this first touch. Okay, so now we have the touch position on the screen. Okay, what we can do is, again, we will be using this AR Recast Manager, the one that we have created. Okay, and this has a function known as AR Recast Manager has a function known as Recast. In this Recast, what are the things that you need to provide? If you hover over it, it will say vector 2 position of screen point. We have it. Then a list of hit results. Okay, and then the trackable type. Okay, so let me put all these things and then I'll explain. So we have a touch position. Let's add that right here. Okay, now it is saying this function needs a list. Okay, so wherever the Recast is touching, okay, whatever things this AR Recast is touching, you know, the position or the wherever we hit, you know, all the information about that hit will be put into a list. Okay, and that list should be of type AR Recast hit. Okay, let me explain you. List of type AR Recast hit. Let's name it Ray hits. Okay, and we need to initialize it as well. New list. Okay, so now we have created a list. Now whenever we are doing this AR recasting and whenever it hits something, you know, it gives us this type of a point, AR recast hit point, and we have created this list. List is like an array itself. You know, it has multiple, you can add multiple values into this. Okay, so whenever we are hitting something, maybe it could be one thing or 5 things, all the value, all the recast hit, wherever we hit will be put in this list. Okay, so now we can provide this list as well. Hits. Okay, now this is an important one. Here we need to add trackable types. Okay, that means what are the types that we want this AR recast to hit? Okay, so here we'll say trackable type dot. Now it will give us all the types of, you know, trackables in AR, you know, this AR foundation. Okay, all types, depth type, face trackables, only feature points, only the orange dots that we see, only the image, you know, if only hits the image and whatnot, planes within bounds. Okay, so we will use this plane within bounds. So whatever planes are there which have bounds, okay, those are the planes we wanted to hit, right? And it has added Unity, this AR system here. We'll remove this from here. Okay, and this will show us an error because we again need to add using Unity XR AR systems. Okay, and then we should be good to go. So what this line does is this says, okay, boss, let's do a recast. Okay, who will help us do a recast? This recast manager, because this is a component given by AR Foundation, and this has a function which easily helps us to do a recast from a screen point. What are the things that we need to provide to this function? It is a touch position on the screen, which you have already taken. This is the list in which it will be putting all the hits, whatever it hits. For example, there are 2 planes. One is this plane and one is this plane behind it. As soon as my ray goes through this plane and then it hits this plane as well. All the hits, both the points, this point, and if it hits this point, both of them will be put into this list. Okay, and this ray will only hit this type of planes, this type of trackables. So all the planes which are within the bounds, those will be hit. Okay, you can read about these things, what are planes within bounds, what are planes with infinity and whatnot. You can read more about them. Okay, so now this ray hits has all the value. Okay, so at what point it was hit and whatnot. And what we want to do is we want to position our very own game object wherever we hit it. Okay, so we would require another game object variable, and this will be spawn object. Okay, and what we will do here is we will say pose. We'll create a variable pose, hit pose. Okay, what this is, I'll explain you. And we'll say ray hits. Okay, ray hits get the first element, like wherever the ray hit the first plane, that point we want to get, and then get its pose. Okay, now what is a pose? So pose is a data structure. It is made out of two things. This contains rotation as well as position. Okay, what I can do is I can now get the hit pose dot position. This will work. Okay, hit pose dot rotation. Okay, let's this dot rotation. This will give me this as well. Okay, so now I can get the position and the rotation of the very hit, wherever we were hit, wherever we hit the ray, we can get the position and the rotation of it. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to okay, create the any game object, this AR prefab, whatever we'll be adding here. We want this to be instantiated wherever we hit the plane. Okay, and once it is instantiated, then next time if we hit the plane again, then we want to change its position. Okay, so we'll say if this spawned object, okay, this is null, that means we haven't created an object yet. Then what we want to do is we want to create an object, and we can create an object via instantiate. In instantiate, what we can do is we can give the object which we want to instantiate, which we want to create, then give its position. Okay, so we have the position, we can say hit pose dot position, and then we also want to give its rotation. So again, in the hit pose, we have the rotation. So what this will do is, if this object has not been created yet, okay, if this is not created yet, this will create this very object AR prefab on the position wherever the ray hit. Okay, but now let's write else. If this object is already created and again we are clicking somewhere else, then we want the position hit dot transform dot position to be, let's set this its position to hit pose dot position. Okay, so for example, let's understand this. This is a plane, there is no cube or nothing, no AR prefab. The ray cast comes and hits here, so we'll create a cube here. Maybe this AR prefab is a cube. Now if you have next time again we are recasting and it hits here, then what we'll do is we'll change the cube's position from here to here. That's what we have written right here. Okay, now let's try to run this. Okay, so let's check this once again. Again, this is game object prefab, which will be assigning session origin. We have already assigned. We'll be getting the raycast manager from this very thing. Then this is the raycast hits, which will take care of all the values of the wherever the raycast hits. This is touch position. This is touch, and here what we have said is whenever there is more than one touch, more than 0 touch, that is maybe 1 touch, then get the first touch and get its position. Okay. Then we have said if we are able to do this raycasting, then do all this. So in raycasting, what we are saying, we are asking the raycast manager to raycast, and here we are providing the touch position, the list in which you should put out all your wherever you hit the things, and then what are the type of things that we want to hit with this raycast. These are plane within bounds, and we are saying pose is equal to hit pose equal to get the first hit wherever we hit this ray or hit the first, right? That was put in this list, so it will be on the top of it, right? gets its pose. Pose means position and rotation. And then if this is the first time you're hitting a plane, create this object. Okay. This means this would be null, right? Then create this object, this AR object at this very position and rotation wherever the ray was hit. And if this has already been created, then just change its position. Okay, this is what you have coded till now. Let's go to editor and let's see. It will compile it for a time being. And then now what we need to do is, okay, so we don't have an AR prefab here that we want to instantiate. Let's create one. For example, let's create a capsule, maybe. Okay, let's create, okay, let's create a capsule. It's pretty huge. It's pretty freaking huge. Let's change the size of it. Okay, I guess that's okay. And again, we can reduce the size of these things as well. Okay, now if you see this capsule, this is halfway above the ground and halfway below the ground, right? So again, if we place it on the plane, this will be halfway below the ground, halfway above the ground. What we can do is we can increase its height. Okay, this will be as equal to its y position. Now it is placed above the ground. But you know what? We have said in our code that changes position to wherever we hit. The position it's taken, it's from the center. This is the pivot, right? So what we need to do is, even if we create this thing now and put it in uh, our game, in our experience, this will be halfway below the ground, halfway above the ground, although we have set its position 0.5 here, because we are changing its position via the code. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to create a parent out of it. Create an empty parent. Okay, name it maybe AR prefab. Okay, and it has changed its position. Why? Let's keep everything to 0, 0, 0 and 1, 1, 1, and let's do all the changes we want here. What just happened? Okay, bam, this again crashed. No worries, we are stronger than that. We'll go back and we will start it again. And this shall just take maybe 10 seconds or so. No worries. This happens sometimes or later because Unity keeps on updating itself and whatnot. So this, this can happen sometimes. And yeah, before 10 seconds, we have this here. Okay. So when a scene was not saved, that is why everything, this queue, the capsule and everything is gone, right? So that is why I say save your scenes. Okay, no worries. So we were talking about this very capsule whose transform and everything we have changed to 0 0.05, 0 0.05, 0 0.05. Right? Right? Zoom into it. And we were saying that we need to create an empty parent object in which everything should be 0, 0, 0 and everything. And the inside object should be 0 0.05. Its height should be 0 0.05. So now we will be setting the position of this game object, right? AR. Okay. So now you can see the position it's taken from the ground. Now whenever you change it, the cube still remains on top, right? So its position can be changed anywhere because the capsule is here. Okay. So this is a good practice of doing any, creating an empty parent and, just making sure that everything is 0, 0, 0 and, it's just set to default settings, and, put your real prefab or anything here and do all the changes you want to do to it. Okay. So now we need a material as well. Let's create one. Okay, we have created a cube mat. Let's control D and let's name it capsule mat. And then change its color to yellow, green. This looks better. Now apply the cube mat to this very cube. Okay. Now save it, and we don't want this to be here, so we will create a prefab out of it. Now all these things will be saved and we are creating a prefab out of it. Prefab is done, bam, delete this thing. In controller, go to your controller and now we will be adding our AR prefab here itself. So now what this will be doing is, this will be creating this very capsule wherever we want to, wherever our recast hits, depending on wherever we touch on the screen. Okay, so we are good to go. Let's do a simple recap before moving any forward. So what we did was we added AR session, origin via right click, extract tool and stuff. In AR session origin, only this session origin was there. We added a few more components that we needed. First and foremost, the plane manager, then the point cloud manager, then the AR recast manager. These are the things that help us find the plane, find the point clouds, and do the recasting stuff and whatnot. All three of them were provided to us via AR Foundation package itself. Okay. As a matter of fact, we don't need AR point cloud. Okay, let's remove this. We don't want to see these point clouds, right? Okay. So now AR recast manager is also there. Then we created our own very own game object, controller game object, and then added a very own component, custom plane, place on plane. Okay. And here what we have said is, we have simply said is in update, if there is a touch, then do a recasting from that touch. Okay. And store all the hit points wherever the ray hits in this list. And the ray can only hit this type of objects, which is plane within bounds. Then get the first touch, first element of this list, wherever like the first recast, wherever it hit the first point, right? Get that pose, the pose of that point. Pose means rotation and position. Then if you do not have any air object as of now in the scene, then create one. So this is checking. This is null, that means it's not created yet. Then create one in the same position and rotation. If this is already created and still we are recasting and hitting another point, then change the position of this very object. Okay, so this is all. What do you guys think? Are we good to go? Shall this work? Okay, so I would suggest you to pause the video here and try to build it on your own and then run it. Okay, and then see your observation. What is happening? What are the things that are happening? Okay, so just a 5-second break. We can pause it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I hope you have paused the video and tried it yourself and try to figure out what's happening. So as of now also, what will be happening is you will be seeing this very same behavior. Okay, that the planes are visible, but you won't be able to click. You won't be able to place. You will be clicking on a screen, but nothing will be placing. Okay, and why is that so? So here I'll click and nothing will be placed. See, I just click, I click, nothing is being placed. Why is that so? So in this very situation, what you should do is try to figure out what could be going wrong. So before that, figure out what is going right. So for example, we are seeing the point clouds, so they are going right, that is working. We are seeing the plane as well, so that is also working. We're not able to place anything. Okay, so maybe our own very own script has some issues. Okay, but in the script, we have checked the code, everything should be working, there are no errors, and what is the thing? So here we have said input.touch, input.getTouch, and stuff like that. So maybe what could go wrong? Recasting is not working properly. Maybe we're not getting the touch inputs, although we are touching on it, but there could be a reason, right? So if you remember when we were in our first week, we talked about Unity and stuff. There we talked about whenever you want to do any input or something like that, you need to have something here, and that is event manager, right? So you can go to Unity UI event system. This should be here. If this is not here, Unity won't be taking care of your inputs and everything, right? This needs to be there. Then only your clicks and everything will be registered, and then only your recasting will be done and stuff like that. Okay, so now let's build it once again. Let's build this one, and let's change the number. That's not base. And let's save it. Let's build it, and let's try to see what happens. Okay, so I'll tell you the same. to do it, to build it, then try to put it on your phone and now run it again and let me know what happens. So now here is the APK that I have, that Unity has given me. I've loaded it on my phone and I've tried and tested it and it works as it should. And I have a recording right here. So let's play it. Let's see what is happening and what is it doing what it should do. First and foremost, we won't be seeing any point clouds because we removed the point cloud manager, right? So now we are not seeing any point clouds. Okay, we are seeing the planes. Okay, as we scan, we are seeing the planes, and as soon as we click, there was no cube, sorry, no capsule or no air prefab in our, this experience. As soon as we click, the raycast hit there, and there was a capsule. Now, wherever we click, the position of the capsule will change. Okay, there won't be a new capsule instantiated, and that is what exactly is happening, right? So this is doing absolutely what it should do. And you would see it is not below the plane itself, right? It is on the plane. The capsule is on the plane, right? So this is what we wanted to achieve, and this is what we have achieved. And be proud of yourselves because this is the first air experience that you have created, and that too from ground zero, right? We have done everything on our own. We have installed the packages required. We did the build settings. We took care of build errors as well. Then we recreated the very same scene using our own custom script. Okay, so that is more or less like it for this video, because that is what I wanted to show you for this video on how you can do this on your own. Okay, and again, you can do the same thing by checking out multiple other air samples that are given in air foundation, and then try to recreate them in your own project. While doing this, you will get to learn a lot about the functioning of air, how air foundation works, how what are its components, what are the capabilities and abilities, and how you can use them. So for today, that's all from my side, and this is a very homework for you, this video itself. You try to build this thing out, this simple air experience out on your own. Add a new air object, whatever you want to add. Maybe you can get a sketchfab, and 3D model from sketchfab and add it here and whatnot. Whatever you want to do, just do it and create it on your own. Create a new project, import all the AR packages required as shown in this video, and do it yourself, because that is the way you'll get to learn about how you can do things. So I hope you enjoyed as much as I did. See you guys. Bye bye, and we'll meet